Hello, legends. Oh, my next guest. Wow. A guy wearing many hats. Richie had a turbulent upbringing, bit of trouble in school and with the police, and he was made the ultimatum sort it out or join the army by his old man. So he subsequently joined the army and at 18 years old found himself on the front line right in amongst it in Afghanistan. Subsequently came out, found himself like a lot of us did, uh, on his ass, struggling with mental health, in and out of addiction, and spinning a few records. And I'm hoping Richie's going to come on the podcast today and not only enlighten us as to the glowing career he's created in film, but also help me shed some light on this thing that is not being talked about, and that is the link between childhood trauma and our mental health in later life. Let's get into it. Richie, how you doing, brother?
Absolutely unbelievable, mate. How are you?
Good. That's what a nice positive start to the day in the podcast.
Absolutely, mate. The sun's out. What are we on? Tuesday. What else do we want?
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
going on all day tomorrow.
So, yes, good luck on your holiday. I think I came across you. I think I saw a post on LinkedIn, and every now and again you see a post on LinkedIn where someone's just being a bit honest about stuff, especially veterans, because there's, you know, I do notice in the public sphere, mate, there's so much bullshit around the military, and a post. You get a lot of these posts, for example, about people that struggle in the military or people that lost their husband or whatever it might, and they literally get thousands upon thousands of likes and comments, and it's almost like everyone's a bit sycophantic
Yeah,
and brainwashed about what the military is, and you and I know what it really is, not what the public think it is.
yeah,
And yet
100%.
when you try and raise the issue of something like childhood trauma, which is what is behind, I would say significant, or is a significant factor in veterans' mental health later in life, and of course the suicide. Let's call it an epidemic. Some people are saying, it's 5 people a week.
Yeah,
Then you get no response. You get limited response. You get someone arguing with you that no, it's we all had perfect childhoods, and you're like,
yeah.
no, we didn't, mate. We didn't. So
Throw
so
far right in there somewhere as well.
yeah, yeah, a good far right slur,
Yeah,
or what was it they say? I suppose you believe the Earth's flat.
yeah. Absolutely, mate. And do you know why it is though? Because so many people are so, like you say, brainwashed into what is normality when actually a lot of it you're just covering up what's actually happening because you don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Richie, so you served with Three Mercian.
Yeah.
Can we just, you know, I'm hoping you'll go a little bit deeper on this podcast than most of our guests. It's quite amazing for someone that's probably chatted to more military people than anyone else in the UK. I've only ever had one person on the podcast that's told me what it's like to kill someone. In I don't mean like dirty description. I
Yeah.
mean, like the effect on you, the circumstances in which it happened. It was a seller's scout, I believe it was. The what were they? They were what become a Rhodesian. Rhodesian army guy. It was Chris Cox. His name was. He's a nice
Yeah.
chap. before we get into that, you were selling like sweets and cigarettes and cans of Coke out your school bag.
Yeah.
That a little bit of an entrepreneurial spirit, and I often think that's triggered by. I don't even know. I just recognise that I did the same thing.
Mate, I just wanted more. Like, I've always wanted more. Like, people, a lot of the things that you hear is people just go, "Well, just be happy with what you've got." But that's not my happy. Do you know what I mean? Like, people have always said, "Oh, just be happy with what you've got," and we don't need this, we don't need that, I don't need this, and I'm like, well, I want more. Do you know what I mean? And I've always had that. I've always gone when people have gone, right, this is the way you should do things, that's the way you should do that, and that's the way you should do that. I've always been like, well, what if we did this? Do you know what I mean? And it's always worked for me, like. So yeah, I just, you know, we used to get fags, and at the time it was probably like, I think it was a fiver for a pack of 20 Richmond, right? And you used to get 20 fags, and I'd have an empty packet. So even to like, you'd have people that sold fags in school, but I just took it to another level again. And I kept an empty packet of fags with me. And it's funny because anyone that watches this go school with me, you'll be like, everyone obviously knew at the time, but I used to keep an empty pack. So I used to sell them for 50p a fag. And if it was your last one, there'd be £1. So I'd take one fag out and put it in the empty pack every time and say, well, it's the last one. So I do 20 quid out of a packet of fags. That cost me a fiver. And then the sweets, the pop and everything. So I was making like 30 quid a day at school as a kid. Do you know what I mean? And like at the time, a lot of people in an adult job probably weren't earning that. Do you know what I mean? So it's you sort of, you used to go out, nice clothes, like you'd instead of going out and drinking cider, you could afford vodka. Do you know what I mean? You could have proper fags instead of rollies, and it was better. And it was, rather than that same thing as people, oh, we'll just have that. That's enough. I always like, nah, fuck that. I wouldn't. I want something better. And I'm still like that today. I'm still like that today.
To going back then to my thing about childhood trauma, what would you say was the thing in your? I mean, it's kind of weird because I'd never say to my son this, and this, or you join the military. I'd be like, son, I'd really advise you not to join the military.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah,
but things are different. Like I'll hug my son 50 times a day if I can.
yeah,
And yet, as a kid, I never received that like just did not
yeah.
happen, right?
I was very much the same. Not like my dad was, my dad's brilliant. If he was any more laid back, he'd be lying down, sort of thing. But I think I don't know whether this ever did affect me or not. But my mum and dad split up when I was a kid, and it was while we were on holiday. So we used to go Bali every summer for like the 6 weeks holiday in school. We'd go Bali for 6 weeks. And on the first night we were on holiday, my mum cheated on my dad. Now, my dad caught him and, completely respectful to my dad. And I only found this out probably 3 years ago. I didn't know. My dad had caught him and he pretended for that whole 6 week holiday that nothing had happened so that me and my sister could have a good holiday at the time. But then my dad, obviously they divorced, and we were living with my dad and lived in a little place called Nantwich just down the road from here. And he, at the time, my mum took him for everything. Even though she was the one who cheated on him, she took him for everything. Had his pension, had loads of, had everything, like, had the house, everything. And he was like, you have whatever you want. I just want to see the kids. But, we didn't have a lot at all, which is where I think I sort of, my dad was going to Morrison's every night to, the whoopsies. Like you get where they put fucking like we were having like the most random teas for years because we were having, you get like 8p sausage rolls and a fucking tin of beans or whatever it with waffles or whatever it was. And I never understood how hard that must have been. Do you know what I mean? Like and I was just being a nightmare and just getting into scraps and fighting and fucking getting kicked out of school and getting suspended and then I got expelled from two schools. Like it just, And I don't know whether that was ever a thing linked to that, or it was just, I always say to people, I was just bored. I was bored at school. Like my idea of hell is just sat in a classroom listening to stuff that I'm never gonna fucking use. And I always ask the right questions in school. I always say, yeah, you do algebra, and I'd ask the maths teacher, just honestly, I'd just say, listen, like, why are we doing, like, when am I ever going to use this? Like, school is for when I become an adult. When am I ever going to use this in my adult life? And you'd get shouted at for that question. Do you know what I mean? Same as, our religion teacher, this was in like year eight, year nine. Our religion teacher was a fucking science teacher. And I'll never forget. And now I got suspended for this. In one lesson, science, he was telling us how we came from fucking monkeys and everything else. And then he taught us in RE the hour after, telling us that we're about because fucking two people were shagging under a tree. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, you're a fucking hypocrite. And I got suspended for a fucking week at school because I was arguing, going like, well, which one is it, mate? Oh, well, this is this lesson, that's lesson. I was like, so which one's fucking real? Like you sat here, you told me an hour ago it was this, now you tell me it's that. Like, why are we even here? If you tell me loads of different things, like, do you know? And it's you look back now, and it's all the right questions to ask, like, because it is rightly so, like,
How did you get on in your exams?
horrendous. I spelt fudge. Me GCSE results said FUDGE going down, and I thought it was the best thing in the world.
Yeah, I'm flagging this up because you're describing my childhood in school. I used to
Yeah,
get in there, look out the window, and I always used to go, next week I'll start trying.
yeah,
But I was intelligent.
yeah,
In some areas, I'm exceptionally, I
yeah.
can be. But I
I
couldn't.
wasn't allowed to do engineering, right? So at like the age of 13, I had motorbikes, motocross bikes, mini motors and all that good stuff. Now I could fucking rebuild a mini motor engine at the age of 13, right? And I wanted in school, I wanted to do engineering because of that. Now I wasn't allowed to do engineering because I didn't get the grades in me SATs for fucking maths, English, or whatever it was. So I wasn't allowed to choose it. But I was probably more fucking engineering clued up than the fucking teacher at the time. Do you know what I mean? I could fucking rebuild anything. And I loved engines and I loved bikes, I loved cars, and I wasn't allowed to do what I was good at because I didn't listen to something that I wasn't interested in, which is just fucking insanity. Like,
Yeah, I'm there's something with a lot of us veterans. The term ADHD is bandied around, but and I'm not obviously a big. I certainly don't believe in being a victim, and I don't
yeah,
really like labels.
yeah,
But there is something there with us lot.
yeah.
You know, there is something there. A lack of attention in school is, I think, is a sort of a big one.
But then you put anything in front of me that interests me, and I'll do it better than anyone else in the world.
Yeah, there you go. And like this, they call it Da Vinci personality. Is that when you find something that interests you, you're almost obsessive with it. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, completely. Like,
Yeah.
even with like the filming stuff, like, I did more in 3 months and learned more in 3 months. And like, this is weird now because last year tried taking on people for the business and stuff, people that have coming out of uni for 4 or 5 years. And I learned more in 3 months on fucking YouTube than they've learned at 4 or 5 years in uni because I wanted to learn it. And like you say, you become obsessed with it. And it's a different kettle of fish. I call it, people say to me like all the time, oh, you've definitely got ADHD, you're 100% like you need to get fucking medicated, you need to fucking get this, that, and the other. And I always just say, well, I'm not being funny, but the way I am has got me to where I am today. So why would I do anything to fucking want to change that? Like,
Yeah.
um,
Absolutely. So let's come on to Afghanistan then. You obviously did join join the army.
Yeah,
Um, were you like worldly aware at 18 of
not really. No, I was just still a little crank.
yeah, you probably watched the Twin Towers coming down on the TV and thought it was a guy in a cave on a kidney dialysis machine in Afghanistan.
That's the one.
Yeah, yeah,
One,
I get it. Um, let's talk about something serious now. So, if you've killed two people,
two confirmed. Yeah, I got on the same up.
can you just tell us the circumstances around that, and then I want to just explore the after effects.
See, when so one I knew I definitely got. The other one I wasn't too sure. But it's very hard to tell because a lot of the time, if you're not shooting into a compound, you're shooting into what is a jungle. Do you know what I mean? Like, and all as you're seeing is heads bopping up and down on walls and around corners and all sort. So it's very hard to then go, oh well, I definitely got him, unless you saw it, at a distance where you could see it. People are just bobbing their heads up and down. So if somebody stops bobbing their head up and down, it could be. Do you know what I mean? It could be anything. It could be they've moved, or it could be anything like. But I had a mate there who had done Iraq, and he was in the army for a long time. And the first time we ever come under contact, I looked at him and just started laughing my head off. And he just started laughing with me, and we were in absolute hysterics. And I said to him after, I was like, "What the fuck was that?" And he said, "It's just your way of dealing with it." He says, "You'll either laugh, cry, or scream for your mum." Do you know what I mean? Everyone is totally different, but I was in hysterics. But I think when I got that, which I definitely knew about, I was it's weird, and I tell people now I'm an emotional spastic in the sense of, something like that happens, or, one of the lads die, or anything like that. You're drilled into it to you. You're not allowed to grieve. You're not allowed to feel anything until you get home. So this is at the start of a tour, and it's there's that delay, and it's mad how you can be brainwashed like that in terms of not being allowed to deal with something. And until he was like, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" sort of thing. I was like, "Yeah, yeah, fine. I'm sound like," and we just carried on, and it never. And I know people, a lot of people say, "Oh, well, it bothers me, and I've got PTSD because that happened, and I got this many confirmed kills and this." It's genuinely never bothered me. Like, whether that's a sick thing or I'm a fucking secret psychopath, I don't know. But the way I see it is, them cunts were trying to kill me, and I just got them first. Do you know what I mean? And if I didn't do what I did, I'd be dead, and or somebody else, even worse. Do you know what I mean? And it's never, it's never bothered me in that way, whether that's a right thing or a wrong thing. And it's obviously not a normal thing to do. Like, you stop and you think about what you've just done, but then you just carry on because it's your job. You've done all this training leading up to it. Obviously, nothing's prepared you for that, but it's never bothered me in that way. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know whether anyone else has ever said that, but it's never really it's never really phased me in that way.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because obviously, from your perspective and your future, the best result is you don't want it to bother you because you don't want years of depression and more drugs and alcohol and yada
Yeah,
yada.
yeah.
But
And it's very weird, like when I came out, and this was like a couple of years, maybe 2, 3 years when I left. I started getting sleep paralysis really bad, and I do get it sometimes every now and then now. But it got to the point where I was fucking petrified of going to sleep, and I didn't know why I was getting him. So it's like, I don't know if you ever heard of it, like like night terrors where, you're sort of half asleep, half awake and you're dreaming, but it's weird because everyone around the world has a similar sort of dreams. And I used to dream that like I'd wake up and this dark figure in the room would jump on us and start strangling us, and I'd wake up screaming, you couldn't move, sort of thing. Um, and I went to the doctors because I wasn't sleeping. I was at one point I was absolutely petrified of going to sleep, and I went to the doctors and was like, listen, like this is going on at night. It's killing me. Like I can't go to sleep. I'm fucking scared of going to sleep. I've done all these things and I'm fucking petrified. Um, and they were like, "Well, have you ever had any like massive trauma or anything? Like, is anything only really bothered you?" I was like, "Yeah, well, I used to be in the army and did Afghan, and some shit happened there, sort of thing. But it doesn't phase me like that. It doesn't bother me." And she was like, "Well, it does. You just don't think it does." And I said, well, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, you think through the day you're awake. All you're doing through the day is suppressing their memories all the time, constantly." And saying they don't bother you, they don't bother you, they don't bother you. But then when you fall asleep, you can't any longer suppress those memories and stuff. So you're being attacked from the inside out. Do you know what I mean? And that's why you're getting these night terrors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you on antidepressants. I was like, I'm not depressed, and she said, well, you need to have them. I was like, well, I'm not having them. I'm not depressed. Why would I take antidepressants? It makes no sense. Said, well, it'll eliminate this and that and the other. And I had one, mate. I had one of them, and I just felt fucking horrible all day. I was like, I'm never taking them ever again. And it got really, really bad. And it was just constantly just not sleeping until my mate came round and he was like, right, you're gonna sort your fucking shit out now. Like, get your shoes, get your shorts on. We're going for a run. And we went for a run, and we literally ran until I was fucking sick. And I did that every single day for a week, and I was fucking cured. Like it went away. It like, and I try and tell and teach people that now is like exercise is so fucking important for your well-being, whether it's fucking walking, going up the hills, fucking running, going to the gym, like anything like that. If you're, and I'm not saying I'm not a fucking doctor or anything like that, but if you feel like shit, if you feel depressed, this, that, and the other, I guarantee you, if you go out for a run now and fucking run yourself until you're sick, you will feel a million times better than you did before you did that.
Yeah, no one ever regrets going for a run, do they?
No,
Um,
no, and it's so beneficial, like it's unbelievable.
yeah, absolutely. Um, I'm sort of saying this, Richie, just because there'll be people listening or watching now that it's a difficult thing to discuss, and I don't mean to upset you at all, so apologies in advance. But what do you get? Like, I seen a post by a pretty famous veteran the other day. He got quite badly injured in Afghanistan. Subsequently, made a full recovery, albeit there's some serious bits of his body missing. And now, a lot of these guys, they're coaches, aren't they? Life coaches or inspirational speakers and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
And one thing I've sort of noticed with him, which doesn't surprise me because, no disrespect, lads, but you're still living in the Matrix. You haven't, this enlightenment awakening thing hasn't come to you yet. And they still always refer to himself as, you know, I was protecting my country from the bad guys. Whereas someone like me and probably the majority of my audience would say, hang on, like, do you know who the bad guys are?
yeah,
It's probably you want to look closer to London than you do to Kabul.
yeah,
And do you ever think that we was all massively lied to? Most wars are a massive deception.
100%.
That enemy over there had done fuck all to us except they lived in a part of the world where opium grew quite easily, and
Yeah,
that under the Taliban that was a crop that was banned.
yeah,
and that the global cabal, the dark network as we refer to them, they've always traditionally traded in opium. The Bush family, people think the Bush family made their money in oil. No, they were opium
Yeah.
smugglers, importers. Look at the, look at the deal that that England struck with China. Like, we'll have Hong Kong, and they use that as the entry port for opium from India, and China gave back silver. So, it. Do you have any thoughts there for people watching and saying that, you know, Scotties always talk about, well, look, I shot this person, but he would have shot me, and it was all fair, and it's like, well, hang on, it's not really fair if you shouldn't have fucking been there in the first place. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
not blaming you, Richie, because you was 18. You were
Yeah.
like me when I served. I didn't know nothing about nothing. Still probably don't. A lot of people would say.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts there? Do you have any sort of reflection on, fucking hell, if I did shoot someone, it was probably someone just like me that was standing up for their the land that they lived on.
See, when what helped me probably was the amount of thank yous you get off the locals. Because the Taliban were a gang, like, yeah, there was probably all the government stuff involved and the dodgy bits and bobs, but like, there was people there genuinely that, were locals who were just normal people going about the day, farming land and this, that, and the other, who weren't involved with the Taliban, who, when we were there and you'd walk past, they'd give you food, they try and give you everything you can and say thank you because the Taliban were trying to obviously bring in all these laws and everything that which they have obviously now, but they, when we were there, as much as there was a war going on, it was more peaceful than it is today because they're now having to abide by all the shit that the Taliban are trying to bring it. Women aren't allowed to go to school or universities and, all things like that, which when we were there, they were allowed to do. They were very thankful of us being there and trying to get rid of the Taliban essentially because of everything they were trying to do. Because they're a gang. They were literally a gang like of, horrible, horrible fucking people who just want to control and be extreme. Whereas a lot of the locals, I mean, most of the locals there don't want that. They don't want it like.
No.
Um, so I think I made peace with a lot of, you know, you see the government stuff and you hear about it and it's completely fucking obvious why, but there was a massive benefit to them, even though it wasn't our fight. Don't get me wrong, like, do you know what I mean? It wasn't our
Yeah.
fight, but people genuinely were thankful that we were there at that time. Do you know what I mean? So, as much as that was going on, I think a lot of good and a lot of horrible people were rid of by us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good that you add that sort of, I don't want to say balance, because I think there's always something in every war that you need to get young men fucking triggered and fighting and scrapping and thinking that they're doing the, you know, that they're doing the right thing.
Yeah,
But of course, in your mind, when you're 18, that is that is the world you live in. It's
yeah,
us against them, and the Taliban did have a reputation uh, for being atrocious, basically.
yeah.
Um, yes, yes, good. You mentioned that. I wish there was more I could say on it, but it's so complex, isn't it?
Massively, yeah.
You know.
Massively, like, and the level of people that were there were just, they're dirty fighters, but you've got to respect them in a way of how they do things because they are fucking clever. Like, there's no doubt about it. And also, you're fighting people who, how the fuck do you win against somebody who you're fighting? when they think that they die, they go to a better place. None of them are bothered about dying. Like you literally, there is no fear, mate.
Yeah, and if you can't win against an enemy in flip flops, as we found out, as the Yanks found out in Vietnam as well,
Yeah,
then how the hell do you think you're going to survive a day in something like Ukraine up against Russia? You
fucking,
know, with
that is a
advanced
proper war.
technology, and you know, you got
Yeah,
people there that are looking at your social media posts, so they actually know who you are
yeah,
on who that guy is on the
yeah.
battlefield, and that
I've
he
got mates
likes.
there now, and listen, that's a proper fucking war. And a mate of mine, Alex, he's there. He's part of that Chosen company. I don't know if you've seen it. BBC did a documentary on him. So Alex actually got shot in the neck, in an irrigation ditch, and he's still fucking there now. And he literally got squared up, got sorted, and went back out to the line
Are we talking Ukraine now?
in Ukraine. Yeah, yeah, this is.
Yeah. Yes, we've had a few veterans of that conflict, volunteers, I suppose you'd call them, or people that went over and joined, or some of them actually joined the Foreign Legion, or they joined the Ukraine forces. Um, Interesting individuals, I'd say, when it comes to the old childhood trauma and stuff.
Yeah,
Um, so let's just want to say one more thing, and then perhaps we'll move on, because one theory is that the Yanks went in there, smashed the place up, made an absolute nuisance of himself, highly, like, I mean, hated by the Taliban, obviously,
yeah,
but also, you know, there were locals there were like, yeah, we don't like the Taliban, but we also don't like you lot coming through our villages, you know,
yeah,
strip searching our, not strip, but, you know, searching our, putting your hands on our women, and busting our compounds down and smashing and coming in with ordnance and putting handcuffs on it. You know, I'm
yeah.
not, I'm free forming here, folks. So give me a
No,
bit of
no, of
me,
course, but
you know.
like it was when it's hard because they used to use that against you in it. So like give an example. We're in Porpoise Island up and we come across a compound, and this compound was a suspected Taliban, sort of storage compound, if you like, right? Um, and we were met by a bloke at the front door, right? And he's like, "You can't come in here." He said, "Well, why?" He says, "Well, there's the load of wives inside, and because of their religion, you're not allowed to see them." I can't remember exactly what it was, but something like you're not allowed to see the wife when the husband isn't there, or something like that. So you're then against you're fighting a sort of religious battle. Then, do you know what I mean? And it's well, what do you do? What don't you do? Oh, and then the interpreter's going, yeah, this is our religion. We can't go in there. If there's, six wives on the other side of that door, we're not allowed to see them. It's haram or whatever it may be. Um, in the end, someone kicked the door off, and it was full of fucking AKs, RPGs. Fucking, we got an A1 fucking bomb maker on the biometrics that was in there, and like, it's mad how that could have gone the opposite way. Do you know what I mean? Imagine that went the opposite way and there was genuinely six wives in there and it caused a massive uproar. And, you get a knock on the door today saying you committed a fucking war crime. Do you know what I mean? It's so woke in it. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be so careful now what you do. And I mean, I know the fucking media are going after a load of special forces guys at the moment, and it's by some cunt who's sat in a fucking office his whole life, never been anywhere sort of hostile in his life except for the fucking corner shop. And he's trying to tell the world that all these people have done bad things when they've never left fucking Cheshire. Do you know what I mean? It really, really gets my back up, stuff like that. When you can never tell someone how they're saying, oh, well, I wouldn't have done it that way. Well, how the fucking hell do you know? You've never been there. Like, you've never been fucking come under contact. You've never had a fucking IED go off within fucking feet, 50 meters of you. Like, how can you say how you would think in them situations where it's totally different? You know, I've seen the hardest fucking blokes that I thought were the hardest fucking blokes ever start crying when you come under contact. Do you know what I mean?
I'm
You,
laughing, mate, because I remember when things went bang in Northern Ireland and you looked around and, you know, even some trained commandos there, they went to shit. And you were
yeah,
like, fucking fellas.
yeah, yeah. And
Um,
it's and that can't be helped by a lot of people. Like you don't know how you're gonna deal with that situation when you come to that situation. Like you can't. No matter whether you're the hardest fucking bloke in the world, you don't know how you're gonna react when you hear that fucking zip noise coming over your head. You don't.
I'll come back to the point I was gonna make, but I just want to say for friends out there listening that are like, whoa, you know, it was all about the, you know, women in schools and men having beards and all this kind of stuff that the what you could almost call propaganda. The reason I'm pushing a bit here, Richie, is I know who was behind those events in New York and Washington, right? A lot of people do now. It was a
Yeah.
cabal. It was made up of something called Project for New American Century, who were these group of, when I say neocons, you just insert global mafia, right? And
Yeah.
they put together this plan that they needed to expand the US military influence worldwide. By US military, I'm not referring to our beautiful American brothers and sisters who were totally oblivious that this shit was going on. I'm
Yeah.
saying that they've hijacked the US military apparatus for their own good.
Yeah.
And they worked in conjunction with people like Larry Silverstein, who had the contract for the Twin Towers in New York and Building 7, very important to understand buildings that you know, the scenario that happened there.
Yeah.
And what people forget is off the back of what happened on that fateful day in New York and Washington, they said it was geezers in Afghanistan, right? That was the reason. It
Yeah.
was never about women with beards and men going to school and all this subsequent propaganda that the media machine spewed to justify in the minds of the squaddies what they was going in there for, right? I've just got to say this, Richie, right?
Yeah. Have you watched the documentary on Netflix recently?
I don't watch anything to do just because I've been at this 20 years now.
Yeah.
Anything mainstream
Yeah.
is paid for by the cabal.
Yeah.
That it just is. And what they do, they sell you on this, hey, there's a conspiracy theory that like this building just dropped out the sky and there was a plane did. And then what they subtly do, they use this psychological technique 2/3 of the way through the movie. When they've hooked you into thinking you're going to get some honesty and truth, they flick the switch, bring in their expert, who then just calls everyone who questions the narrative, they're missing something in their life and they're searching for answers. It's like, no, mate, we saw a building drop out the sky for no reason whatsoever, and you can't explain that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And sorry, so I just wanted to say that. So, because it is difficult, you've got a lot of people that only think we were in Afghanistan because of the brutal Taliban, and we had to go. It was like, no, it was that the reason that they went in there was that they said the people who orchestrated that event in New York and Washington were training in camps in Afghanistan. We now know it was, that's nonsense. It was the Project for New American Century, aka the neocons, aka call them what you like, cabal, dark network, merchants, right?
Yeah.
In conjunction with, like I say, Larry Silverstein, Donald Rumsfeld, who was Secretary of Defense. He managed to let $2.3 trillion go missing from the Pentagon and announced it the day before on September the 10th, right?
Yeah.
And then Dick Cheney, vice president, right? This is how entrenched this dark network is, who was the president of Halliburton. Okay, he'd stepped aside for the role of, vice president because you can't be seen to have conflict of interest. But Halliburton, they got all the contracts for everything that was smashed up in the Middle East, right? Building this shit crap, with contractors and just raking in basically siphoning off our taxpayers' money for their private global mafia under the pretense that they're redeveloping the destruction. You're going to see the same thing with BlackRock now in Ukraine, right? So, sorry, I've gone on a bit there, but it's important people stop having their fucking head up their ass and believe in all this, and that we see it for what it is. Otherwise, your kid's going to be getting sent, and so is mine, Richie, And the reason we know that we know this is when the day came to pull the plug, which I believe is when the Chinese did the deals for the lithium in Afghanistan, and that the compromise was made with the Taliban over the opium and the opium trade. Then they just pulled out in literally almost one day, left all of that machinery, all that plant, all that heavy weaponry, all that uniforms, all those shake-ons full of stuff. They left everything, all the infrastructure.
Yeah.
So if they went in there because they were saying these people supported terrorists, I'll say that word a bit loosely,
you just armed them to the teeth.
Then why did you leave them everything that would be a terrorist's bloody dream, right? So So, sorry, I was just coming on to say, did you have any feelings when you saw them just pull out like that and you knew how many young men and women had lost their lives or lost their limbs?
Massively. I got really upset that day because you just think, well, what was that for then? What was all that for? Good lads and ladies had died to just hand everything back. And that's the way I saw it, and nobody could really understand. And I suppose you don't understand if you've never been there, but a lot of people at home were like, "What the fuck? Why are you so down about it? Like, whatever, leave them to it." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you don't understand all the shit that you had to deal with when you were there. Like, do you know what I mean?" And a lot of it was thinking about those people who had come to you, all them people that I was speaking about saying, thank you so much for being here. And all the kids you've seen growing, little kids and that you'd seen. And I always just think, I actually put a post out the other day saying, like, I wonder what's happened to these people and whether they're still alive or, I always look back at those people who were dead thankful that you were there and wonder, well, are they still fucking alive because of the way they felt then? Do you know what I mean? They would have known. So yeah, it really upset me. That really upset me.
Yeah, I served in the Northern Ireland conflict, and I want a better future, Richie, for the kids. If you bring kids into this world, I think you've got to be a warrior and do what is best for them. And I think that means you have to question things. And for me, I can easily shuck my military identity. Fuck that. It was a job I did when I was a kid, right? Yeah. It was a very special job in parts. There was some wonderful people you got to meet, and we wore the prestigious green beret, which was, that were nice for damaged kids to fucking achieve something in life. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And when I say damaged kids, not everyone obviously that joins the military is damaged, but a lot of us, it was an important thing coming from a broken home.
It's the first thing I was proud of.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And but here's the thing: even when I look at the Northern Ireland conflict, we had bombs going off on the mainland all during that conflict. Particularly, it got particularly bloody in the 70s. I think the early 80s. There was a horrific incident. I believe it was Hyde Park, where a nail bomb went off in one of the horse parades, and 17 horses. I'm not going to say the rest. People, imagine a nail bomb around fucking poor horses had done
Yeah.
nothing to no one, let alone what happened to
It
the
wa-
people riding them and that. And
Yeah.
then it never occurred to me until I saw what these maniacs were willing to do in order to get their war in Afghanistan. What happened in, I started to learn about false flag events.
Yeah.
And then I was like, who was really behind, and I'm not professing that I know, but I'm mature enough to be able to ask that, raise that question.
Yeah.
Then you hear that MI6 were the controllers for the IRA, and then you hear that under the guise of the IRA, they took out Mountbatten because he was, he was going to bring the royals into trouble with his. This is allegedly, folks, his interaction with young boys, shall we say. And then you hear that the coal industry in Northern Ireland, which was quite productive, was also and then you start to think, do we
What
like
is
know
fucking
anything
real?
about these conflicts and who's behind them? Really?
And think about it, it's not just fucking conflicts. What about everything else that we don't know about? Is what I always think. And this is why, mate, I don't watch the news. I don't watch the news now. I don't read the paper. I don't look at anything fucking news related. I'd rather just stay out of the bubble. And because you meet people who, I mean, I had my mate rang us the other week to give you an example. Like for, end of the day, he rings me and he goes, "Fucking hell, we're all gonna fucking die. Like fucking Putin's gonna drop bombs on us, this, that, and the other. He's fucking gonna kill us all, and this, that, and the other. And oh, we need to, you know, you need to be knowing about this stuff." And I'm like, "Fucking bore off, mate." And he's like, "What do you mean? You're a fucking idiot. As if you can't even think about what's going on and stuff." And I'm like, "Mate, like, I live in fucking Crewe. Like, what am I gonna do about fucking Putin with a fucking finger on a button in Russia? Like, nothing. Absolutely fuck all. And you're a fucking landscape gardener in Crewe. What the fuck are you gonna do?" So instead of watching the news in the morning and letting that consume your whole fucking day, stop watching it because there's nothing you can fucking do. Even if it does happen today, tomorrow, next week, or in a year, me and you aren't going to be able to do fuck all about it. So stop worrying about it. Carry on with your fucking life and fucking have fun because you're just letting it consume everything you
Yeah.
fucking do.
And you're just putting out dark
Yeah, yeah,
energy.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, got you. So yeah, mate, I appreciate you letting me have some input here, Richie, because can you imagine how many podcasts they're just it's just all surface shit, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
what did
yeah,
you do in Afghanistan, Richie? Oh, I went in and it was fucking great and it was
yeah,
awesome and
yeah, yeah.
oh, up the British, we're fucking
Yeah.
brilliant and okay, thanks, folks, like and subscribe. And they haven't talked about shit. What's really going
No.
on? You know?
I always say to people it was the worst lads holiday I ever went on. But
Yes.
I think you have got to see look at don't just look at everything as the negatives, but look at it as the positives. I came back from there and appreciated a lot more. Like I was still a little twat before I went there. I came back and appreciated what I had. Before then, I didn't. I'd never been to the other side of the world and seen how, third world countries fucking live. Do you know what I mean? Me and you were lucky enough to be able to fucking, we could finish this podcast now, get in a nice car, drive to fucking Starbucks, not even have to get out the car, get a coffee and something to eat, and fucking drive off again. The amount of people in the world that can't even fucking do that is unbelievable. And I'm just dead grateful now and know how lucky I am after seeing that side of the world to know how lucky I am to have all them things and be able to do the things that we massively take for granted. You know, not just having food in the fridge, but actually fucking having a fridge. A lot of people don't even have a fridge. Do you know what I mean? It's mad. And when I think you can look at stuff like that I think you become very not humble. I fucking hate that word, but do you know what I mean? You become very aware of
Humility, in it,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and it's how we develop empathy is by having these experiences.
Mm, yeah.
So, friends out there, could you like and subscribe, folks? Like I just said to Richie, you don't really get these conversations. You know, I get it, Richie. There's a load of people watching now that they just want to hear about how fucking hard you are, and what shit you blew up in Afghan and
Yep. I'm a
like
soft cunt.
say again.
I'm a soft cunt. Well, I am now anyway.
And I'm saying out there, folks, you know, we're just going a little bit deeper on this podcast about the things that really matter, because at the end of the day, you get one life and you don't want to live it in darkness and be brainwashed by all this media and stuff. So if you can like and subscribe, folks, that would be absolutely wonderful. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. So, Richie, let's come on then, because you've started a media company, which is just amazing. You've made films now about veterans who have struggled upon leaving the military. I want to come on to that, but you did mention drugs in your bio that you sent to me. And can we just explore, how did you get into that? How long was it before you realized perhaps you were self-medicating and it was, you know, a bit of a downward spiral? What was behind it?
I think because when I was still in Germany, so I've always been into my music. And I started going raves when I was like 13, 14, going to fucking Wigan Pier on adult nights and going away for the weekend, amongst many other things. And when you're in the army, you're obviously not allowed to take drugs. You're not allowed to do anything like that. I mean, we still did, but I think when I came out, because I was DJing as well, and often I'd fly back from Germany to go and do gigs at home or, in Holland and stuff like that. I was really good at what I did. And I think when I got out, that that barrier wasn't there anymore. Like, so it was like, oh well, fuck it, I can just do it now and not think about it. Um, and then when you're DJing and you get better and better and better, and before you know it, you're getting two, three gigs a weekend. You're also getting tired. Um, so you're doing a lot more of that. Do you know what I mean? And then I think it was sort of around, and this was only recently again. I actually stopped going to the raves because I was getting off my head too much, and I knew that. And then it got to the point where maybe 3 years ago, I was working my job in security. That was 5 days a week. And then I'd started obviously the filming and stuff on a weekend. And I was having it every day, sometimes every other day. And it more sort of started again with like cocaine and stuff, but to more not because I wanted it, but I sort of started it because I couldn't stay awake because I knew I had that much to do, and it was my way of being able to stay awake and get it done. But then that just completely fucking snowballed into a whole new problem. When you become dependent on it, then, and you fucking lying out your teeth, you fucking, and I just hit absolute rock bottom with it, mate. Absolutely rock bottom until last year. Last year, I just sat there like Christmas time and I was like, do you know what? I'm not gonna drink anymore because that is what happens. Is I could go out and I'd go, right, I'm not gonna have any of that tonight. Nothing. I'm just gonna go out. I'm gonna have a couple of beers, and that's gonna be it. And as soon as I had a pint, I'd be like, right, I'm gonna get a bag straight away, instantly. And I understand that now because it creates a chemical in your body called cochethylamine, which even though you're saying, oh, I don't need it, if you're constantly relating cocaine to alcohol and having them both at the same time, it creates a chemical in your body called cochethylamine, which your body then craves like a mad addiction after doing it for so long. So every time you have alcohol, even though your brain's saying no, your body's going, well, you've had this, now you need to have this. And and I sat down with someone and he told me about that, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. So I just went at Christmas last year. I said, I'm not going to drink and just see what happens. And I've not had a drop of alcohol since Christmas last year, and I've not touched it since. And
Well, well done,
and
mate.
nice one, mate, nice one. I said it's funny because we're at this is like the perfect point to talk about this because when I said I'm not going to have a drink anymore, I said I'm not drinking until we go on holiday in August, which is tomorrow. So you sort of made it, but after like 3 or 4 months of not doing it and not having a drink either, I felt incredible, like totally different human being, and I would, I genuinely don't think I'm gonna drink when I'm on holiday. If I fancy one, I'll have one as a well done. Do you know what I mean?
Uh, I'm
But
going to chip in, mate. So don't do it.
yeah,
I'll tell you why. I mean, I've just lived through it. So I've just been away for a long weekend with a family,
yeah,
camping, Cornwall. Now I remember a time not that long ago in my life where I went down there, and mate, it's a bit different from me. I've always relied heavily on alcohol just to,
yeah,
I would have said, to feel like me whatever.
yeah,
But whatever way you look at it, you're self-medicating something, even if it's boredom, whatever. But so I'll be on the car on the way down driving there. My mind wouldn't be on like what a great time I'm going to have with my family. Are we going to go surfing? Or, do some snorkeling? Get the No. My mind would be: have we been past the Co-op or Tesco on the way to get enough booze in for the whole weekend? Is
yeah,
there
yeah, yeah.
somewhere down? Is there somewhere down there I can, if this booze runs out, I can top up
Fine.
with some. And I'm not even talking about huge amounts of alcohol.
Yeah,
It might just be 4 or 5 beers in, 4 beers in the evening, not, or maybe even a couple. But what would happen then, mate, is in the morning I'd wake up and immediately you've killed your buzz. You got hangover. Don't matter if it's 2 beers, you've got something of hangover, and
yeah,
that's lowered your vibration to a place that where life becomes unpleasant. I mean, you poisoned yourself
yeah, yeah. Literally, yeah,
effectively. And then what would happen then, in my case, I would just start drinking again. So I'd just crack, and I can wake up at 5 or 6 o'clock. So I'm sat there in my sleeping bag at 6 o'clock and I'm reaching for a rum and Coke, because I don't want to feel like this. And then
yeah,
I'm sort of, I'm not just getting absolutely shit faced, but then in the afternoon it's, I'll have another quick, and what I found, mate, is my mind was just completely off my family and having nice food and getting out with my son and doing all these things that you should do as a dad. And instead I was focused on this very selfish behavior that not only took my mind to a parallel universe where I couldn't be present for them, but also it just it pissed on all the activities, and compare that to this weekend where I've gone down there and it wasn't even a factor.
yeah,
A
yeah,
few intrusive thoughts, Corner, you could be having a nice beer. It's very hard, mate, to walk along a beach,
yeah,
and I'm looking like this because my mind is still want to see who's drinking.
yeah, yeah,
Come across one group of people on the beach. They was fucking on it, mate, at 10 in the morning, all having a wait, and but that's the devil on your shoulder, isn't it? Telling you, it's not reminding you of those times where you was, depressed, anxious, fucking thinking what the fuck, that all your diet goes out the window. So we was mainly, I'm mainly eat vegetables now. In fact, I've eaten vegetables only for 6 months now, and
yeah.
I know immediately if I get up with hangover, that's going out the fucking window, mate. It's going to be pasty, give me a pizza, all this like abundance of carbohydrate and so yeah, I just wanted to say that, mate. And this weekend I was present, I was there, I was funny the whole weekend, making stupid dad jokes the whole weekend. You know, my son spontaneously just coming up to me and putting his arms around me and giving me a kiss.
Yeah,
And it was just great, mate. So I would think all the time we tell ourselves it's a little celebration and a little treat. I think we got to spin that and say what is it what is it really, and it's different for you. You might have a different sort of, it might have a different effect. You maybe can just have one beer and that's great. And if you can, I'm not here to fucking lecture anyone. I'm saying this, Richie, because I know there'll be people listening that are like, Chris, I get it, mate. Exactly what you said. That
yeah,
was
yeah,
me. And should I give up? And I'd say, yeah, I would. You know, I,
yeah.
I would. Life doesn't get worse by giving up alcohol. Put it that way.
No, no, nothing good comes from it. It's a
No, not
fact.
really.
No
Not really.
different. If me and you went to the pub now and had some food and had two beers, it'd be no different than going to the pub and not having the two beers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. Except that you have them two beers and you wake up in the morning and then you feel it.
Yeah,
And then you wake up later because you don't go for your morning run because you're feeling a bit crap. And
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So what was your did you have an epiphanal moment where you saw the light and thought, hang on, I'm doing this for this reason. Let's put this reason to bed and therefore stop doing this behavior.
Yeah, yeah, completely. And was just like, I care more. What do I care? My mate said to us, like, do you care more about your family, business, everything in work that you're building up, or do you care about that? Like, which one outweighs it? He said, because you can only have one, because they're never going to work as well as they can with one or the other involved. So you need to pick one. And that was it. I just went, right, I'm gonna give it a go. And it's just fucking worked.
Yeah. No, that's really good. I'm sort of digging a bit here, Richie, because for me, I really was, even though I didn't know it, I couldn't have told you what childhood trauma was because no one fucking spoke about it. All this shit I've had to work out for myself, right? And
Yeah.
back then, I really was trying to self-medicate a good life. I wanted to medicate myself into living the life that I wanted. And
Yeah.
did you find this that you started to use, say, Coke or whatever, is like, I'll have that line, it will make me feel better, and then I'll get this done.
I think it would just became normality more than anything. I think I did it, started it for the social aspect and then became the dependent aspect. Do you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think you just do that over time. I think it then becomes the norm to have it when actually it's not normal. I think you can go from having it socially, and don't get me wrong, listen, people can go out and have a pint or a fucking key of whatever it may be. I can't. I've got massive fucking addictive personality, and I'm not just like that with beer and that. But fucking Pringles, you give me a packet of Pringles, I'll eat the whole box of them. You give me a packet of chocolate, I'll sink the lot of it. You give me something that interests me, like the video stuff and that, I will go to town on it. And I'm like that with everything I do. Absolutely everything. Like it's always 2 feet in with everything you're doing. And I think, but it's also like that with gym. Like if you become, if I get right, okay, I wanna fucking really get fit now, I will become obsessed with it. And I think when you're like that and you've got an addictive personality, you need to train yourself to be addicted to the right things and not the wrong things. But it's very easy to fall into the wrong things.
Yeah, part my so I'm just showing. I keep looking over there, mate, because I'm showing some of your media as we're talking,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and some of your Instagram and stuff. Um,
Brilliant.
yeah, what I found out, the beauty of the when you start to view life in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency, what people call spirituality, but I think that just sounds a bit naff.
Yeah,
Um, is it really makes you look inside because all the answers are inside,
yeah.
and
You get more of what you put out.
when you find yourself, snaffling a whole pack of chocolate chip cookies when most people would just take one or two,
Yeah,
it, it it's like, hang on, is putting on this extra weight and all this sugar causing me inflammation? Is that really what I want in life?
yeah,
And that's where I find the medication should come in.
yeah,
Go away, just be quiet, and just focus on all that's good.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm doing a bullshit job of describing this, but
No, no, I completely get what you mean. I
you know,
completely get what you mean. Like,
because so much of what we do is out of impulse, and I'm the same, mate.
yeah,
I can eat the most beautiful meal, highly all the nutritious stuff there,
then have a
and
bag
then
of crisps to
yeah, and
finish.
then I'm like, oh, hang on, there's a bag of crisps in a cupboard, and then there's a chocolate bar, and fuck it, do you know what? I'm still hungry. I'll have a pot noodle, and
Yeah,
it's it's these little mini addictions to the the
yeah,
glucose that's created by this that I think yeah, like I say, spiritual battle. Always look inwards. What are you trying to self medicate? What are you trying to bury?
yeah. No,
Yes.
100%, mate.
Okay. So, Richie, tell us then a bit about when did you get into film?
So I used to race bikes, and during one of the rounds, my bike blew up and spat me off. So I couldn't cut a long story short, I couldn't get the engine rebuilt for the next round. So I said to the club owner, I said, listen, I says, I'm sure my sister's got like a little camera at home. What if I try and do like a bit of a video for the club because nobody does anything for it, like, and there's no marketing behind it or anything. Like, we could probably get some more people in here. Um, so we did that. I was on YouTube at the fucking side of a track trying to work out to work this camera, and did the video, edited it, and I think what helped me a lot was I used to make all my own music. So the editing process, and you're editing to music, I found really, really easy. But I edited it, put it on YouTube. Within a week, it got 22,000 plays on YouTube. And it had brought like 5 grand in entry fees, spectators, and whatever else. So the club owner was like, "Listen, I want you to do one of them for every single round." I said, "Well, I want to ride my bike." He says, "Well, if you film on the Saturday, I'll pay for your racing, and then you can do the British Championship still on the Sunday." So I was like, "Right, okay, no matter." So we did that and just started making these little highlights videos. And within 3, 4 months, I was doing them for BSB, World Superbikes, went Navarra in Spain. Like, I just completely fucking winged it, mate. Like, but it was working, and people wanted them. British Mini Motor Championship. Who else? The British GT. Like, everybody wanted these little highlights videos that we were doing. So did that, and then it just completely spiraled out of control, like completely spiraled out of control, and in a good way, obviously. But yeah, then COVID hit. Obviously, racing stopped, and I sort of was like, oh well, I like doing these little videos. I wonder whether I can do them for businesses and stuff. So sort of after COVID, I was like, right, when I was going to businesses and was going, right, I tell you what, I do this. Let me come down. I'll do you a free video, to sort of promote your business. I don't want anything for it. If it works for you, give me a shout and we'll talk prices. And it just went again, just rocketed again, doing that and got, loads of referrals and stuff like that. And it just worked. And then here we are today, still doing it. And I mean, that was what? That was September 2021. I did that first video. And ever since, we're now making films. We've done fucking music videos with Dizzy Rascal, massive events in fucking Poland. Like, done all sorts, like stuff that you'd never even dreamed of. We do all like the behind the scenes stuff for Rise of the Foot Soldier films, like just all shit that I would never have thought. It was totally unplanned, is what I'm trying to say. Do you know what I mean? It was none of this was ever planned, and it's just funny because I've always tried to do that bit more and like selling the sweets, pop, fucking trainers, doing this, doing that, starting fucking all sorts of weird and wonderful things. And nothing's ever worked on a permanent base. And then the one that did work was the fucking one that was by accident. Do you know what I mean?
Got you, mate. What was the link there to Rise of the Foot Soldier? Sorry, I was just.
Yeah. So literally, like we were saying then when I first started it, I was messaging businesses and stuff, saying like, let me do your video for free. Don't want anything for it, and we can talk prices after that sort of thing. I did the same with the Rise of the Foot Soldier stuff, and it's funny because people always ask me, how did you get that work? Literally, all I did was send a message to Nick Nevin on Instagram and said, I am a diehard fucking fan of your films. I would love to work with you. Let me come down. I'll do a free video, advert, or whatever you want me to do. Um, and I don't want a penny for it. I just love to do it. I'm dead passionate about the films and stuff. I absolutely love them. What anything else doing? We can talk prices and stuff like that. And he was like, "Yeah, brilliant. I'll take you up on that. We're doing a premiere of the remaster of the first film. Would love for you to come like and film it." And I was fucking blown away. Like literally just something that simple. Just messaged him on Instagram. And then we've worked together ever since. And I've just been in the new film.
Oh wow, yes,
It's just people like you say, going back to that like normality of what people think. Like people always say to me, how'd you get work, how'd you get this, that and the other? I'm like, just fucking message 50 people on Instagram a day. Oh yeah, but that person had never messaged me back. Well, how many times have you messaged him? Well, I haven't, but someone like that just wouldn't message me back. I'm like, well, how the fuck do you know you've never tried? Like, do you know what I mean? A lot of people will say
yeah,
that, but nobody's willing to try it to see if it does work.
yeah, absolutely. I've had some great guests on the podcast. The world's top mountaineer was
Yeah.
just off a yeah. What I was going to say, it's funny one the old Rise of the Foot Soldier because yes, they are very engaging films, extremely engaging to watch.
Yeah.
Especially the bit about anything to do with Coke and the Costa del Sol and all that sort of stuff
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
it always triggers like the chav in me that there by the
Yeah.
grace of God sort of thing. Or
Yeah.
but the funny thing is though, essentially though, it's a franchise built on the horrific slaughter of three young men. And I'm not like here to defend their nature or whatever. I know
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
weren't particularly good boys, but what I mean is it is a bit of a funny one, that isn't it? That their family have got to kind of live with the fact that someone's taken it upon themselves. I mean, the first film, absolutely, it was a like a not a doco film. That's not the right word, but it was a film that featured on a true event, the Range Rover murders
Yeah.
in Rettendon.
Yeah.
And yet to then bring out ones that where you go, look, we're using these same three lads that were murdered and all their characters, but this film it isn't really like half of its fiction.
Yeah.
It have you thought? I'm not trying to. I'm not. This is not a criticism, Richie. I'm just an observation that seems a bit. It's like if Chris Thrall, someone made a film about me climbing Everest next month, and then, heaven forbid something happened to me, and then the next year they go, look, that film was so popular, we made another one, we've revived his character, and now he works on the waltzers in a fairground. My family would be like, that's a bit fucking weird. Just so
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
guys
I know
can,
what you mean. I know what you mean. I mean, I suppose it's film in it. Like you say, they're really really good at what they do. Whether it should be called Rise of the Foot Soldier, I don't know. After the first one, I always sit there and think, because people always do take the piss and go, "Oh, it's another one, it's another one, it's another one, it's another one." And if they're very successful films, but if they called it something else and use the same people to do it, would it be different? I don't know.
Well,
Hindsight could be.
obviously, not so many people would watch it if it. I mean, it's yeah, it's just an interesting one.
Yeah,
Interesting one. I'm really sort of a bit conscientious. Some would say maybe too much, and I wouldn't. That's everyone's got a right to opinion.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You
Absolutely,
know.
mate.
Yeah. Okay. So your two films. Can you just tell us a bit about the last or the last letter and crack on?
Yeah. Just give me 2 seconds, mate. I'm just going to grab my charger out of my bag.
Absolutely.
2 seconds. Hey. Yeah. So, um, Last Letter is the short film. Crack On is the feature film. The Last Letter we're doing as a concept because I was going around and the Crack On idea has been about for a while now. But as we all know, making films costs a lot of fucking money. So a lot of people are saying, well, how can I invest in something that you've never done before? Rightly so. Um, so I said, okay, well, let me go away. I'll make a short film as a concept to say, on a small scale, this is what we can do. I'm raising money to do this on a bigger scale, which is where the last letter came from. So we've done that. There's a music video at the end of it. A good friend of mine, Megan Lee, she's wrote a song for it, which is incredible. So that's done. We need to shoot the music video for the end, and then we're going to premiere that alongside a documentary on the 8th of November in Wimslow. But we're doing that. The documentary is sort of why I'm doing it, people that are involved, other people that I've served with, other people that have been in the army, other people that have struggled, other people that have had stuff to do with ex-forces and stuff like that. And just to say, this is what we're doing. I've got Terry Stone from Rise of the Futsal. He's hosting the night. It's going to be brilliant. It's going to be brilliant. And it's funny. I was on the phone to him the other day, and he was like, "Nobody fucking does this," and I'm like, "Great. That is exactly what I wanted to fucking hear."
Yeah, Richie. Sorry, can you just outline? Nobody does what? An event?
Everything like so. I'm doing the event, the premiere for the short film and the documentary to raise money for the bigger film.
Yeah.
And Terry was just like, nobody does this way. You're like the first person to do something this way. Like you're putting so much into this, and this is only the small thing. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
but this is what it's about, and this is the way I want to do it. So you know, it's my way. Like,
And what are the themes of these two films? Can you tell us?
yeah. So obviously, the last letter is a big suicide awareness, mental health sort of short film slash advert, if you like. Um, and that is, I suppose, what Crack On is the feature film, but a longer version of that. And reason being, too many fucking ex-forces are killing themselves, and it's really fucking annoying me that nobody's talking about it. Um, in the big film, there'll be mentions of, the drugs and alcohol bit, these big charities that people are contacting, and they're not helping people. The smaller independent charities are fucking making moves in terms of actually helping people with fuck all money. Drugs and alcohol, like we just said, then, not being able to fit in, fucking coming out angry and everything that you could hit when you leave. And just highlighting that because nobody else is highlighting it. and it's really fucking annoying because somebody should be. And I can't believe, I've been getting fucking messages from people, all sorts of people, mate, saying, make sure you don't get your kids to answer the door, make sure you get CCTV at home. They'll all be watching you now. Why do you think nobody's ever done this before? Nobody can get away with doing something like this. You're going against the fucking institution sort of thing. You need to be really careful. I'm just like, sound whatever. Come round.
Mate, well, let's talk about that because I'm trying to do my bit.
Yeah.
I'm just flashing up there for friends at home. I'm just showing you my Challenge Everest. So that's my GoFundMe page. What I want to do, Richie, is, in fact, every year I take on something of a mammoth challenge. So I ran across the Sahara. I run the length of the United Kingdom. I rode across the Atlantic in January, and I'm going to climb Everest in April.
Unreal, mate.
Well, you got to remember there was a time in my life I was chronically addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
And so mentally unwell that the doctors told my family that I should probably go into an institution, a mental health faculty, and I probably would never come out, right? So I'm here to say to veterans out there who are struggling with your mental health, depression, anxiety, drinking, substance misuse, self-medicating, whatever we're going to call it, that, hey, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to rejig a few things in your mind and boom, you too can live a legendary life. And I'm proof of that, right? But also, along with shining a light for struggling veterans, I want to use my platform. So I was on GB News the other day. Didn't get as long to speak on there as I thought I would, so I was cut short a bit. But what I want to say, Richie, is why we've got this awful suicide situation that doesn't take into account all the mental health in the veterans community across the board, the homelessness, the substance abuse, the domestic violence, etc., the sofa surfing, etc.
Yeah.
And nobody is making the link between childhood trauma, like you said yourself, you went through parental divorce, highly traumatizing event for a youngster, to think that their parents are separate and they might never even see one of them ever again. That's, this is like Bambi level of childhood trauma, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like bloody Jaws level of trauma.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I'm doing. I want to use my platform to say, hey folks, there's a reason why people are coming out the military and having an inability to cope with life.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily just linked to combat PTSD, because a lot of these fellas didn't even see combat, or they had a relatively, I don't know if enjoyable tour is the right expression, but despite what happened to us in Northern Ireland, when there was quite a lot of things going bang, I'd still say phenomenally, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And even though we lost a chap, I didn't feel damaged in any way, shape or form, Richie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I can tell you is the reason I lost it subsequently was related to a highly traumatic childhood and stuff that a toddler shouldn't have to go through, right?
Yeah. No, of course, mate.
So, yes, be good if we could work together, wouldn't it?
100%.
Come up and do something. And simply having this chat now, how many people, with the thousands of people, are going to watch this, who are now going to be aware, many of them, that, PTSD is not just something on the battlefield. No, it's not. It's not just something military people get. It's something that everybody out there that's been through a traumatic childhood is experiencing the effects of now, unless they've managed to develop coping mechanisms. So
100%, mate.
Yeah, so hopefully with your contacts, you might be able to get some some big backers. Why is Terry Stone referred to as Terry Turbo?
Um, because that's what his nickname was. So Terry used to run a lot of raves and stuff in the 90s. So that was his nickname back then.
Yeah, I've heard that somewhere. Yeah, he seems like a really nice bloke.
Really, really nice bloke, mate.
Mm.
Really, really, really nice bloke. And he's responsible for some of the biggest fucking parties in the UK back in the 90s. So he started One Nation. If I don't know if you've ever heard of One Nation, but Terry actually started One Nation,
Wow.
the big drum and bass franchise that is today.
Yeah, my gosh.
And yeah,
Yes.
he started doing them.
Okay, right. So, um, yes, mate. What what's your sort of relationship with all your friends and family now? Are they proud of what you're doing?
Amazing. Yeah, better than ever. Better than ever. And that would purely more so be down to stopping drinking drugs.
Yeah.
Honestly, doesn't matter what I'm doing work wise or anything like that. That is purely down to not doing that anymore.
The problem is, Richie, is clearly there was a reason, there was something driving you to adopt that behavior. The same with me. But you have to go through it to
Yeah,
learn that it's not helpful.
yeah, 100%,
It's very
100%.
hard for families to do that middle bit, though, isn't it? Because they
Yeah,
just see the destruction
yeah,
and the changes in character, and all they want is for you to stop. But it's if you don't stop in the right time, he's just going to go back and do it again. Are you not?
yeah, absolutely, mate. Completely agree.
Yeah. Okay. So, what advice have you got out there for people that are struggling?
Bin off anyone that's bad for you straight away. Like, it's weird and it's the weirdest thing and the hardest thing you'll ever do. But write down, this is what I did, write down all your friends, all your names of all your friends, right? And what value they give to your life, right? And what you do with them, right? More importantly, when you meet these friends, what do you do? Do you go to the gym? Do you go and exercise? Or, do you go to the pub and sit sniffing fucking Charlie in someone's kitchen for hours on end? And prioritize what you want. If you want more of sitting in the kitchen, then sound, stay with them. But mentally, it's not doing anything for you. If your goal is to be mentally better, stop taking drugs, stop drinking, start exercising, and look at all the bad habits that you're doing and start creating good ones. And your life will, within the space of 2, 3 months, your whole life mindset, everything will change. But you need to get rid of the people who are not insinuating, like feeding that shit life that you've got, and find people who want you to do better and not worse.
Yeah, exactly. I was just flashing up Dapper's Instagram.
Yeah,
Daniel O'Reilly, he's really, I mean, he epitomizes to me that person that was in the kitchen sniffing all
yeah,
hours
yeah, yeah,
and who then recognized that the whole grip it had on his whole persona and his whole behavior and how that crossed over into his
yeah.
professional life and who
You
went.
become unreliable if you're sitting in kitchens most nights doing that. You are not a reliable person. It's a fact. No matter how good you think you are at coping with it and dealing with it and how you function on it, you are not a reliable person. You are constantly letting people down in one way or another, and you are completely lying to yourself if you think that you're functioning at 100% or even 50% while you're either off your head or on a come down.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you think you do. At the time you think you are, and I was, and you think, yeah, I'm fucking God, I'm fucking this, that, and the other, and I can do anything, and that's not affecting the way I'm behaving, or the way I am or my mood. It fucking is.
Hmm.
It fucking is.
It's also that the money you're spending on what could be as little as 5 nights out, certainly 10,
Yeah.
you could have a 6 month backpack through South America.
I could have bought a few houses by now, like.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I went backpacking for a year, backpacked through every single country in North Central South America, Australia, New Zealand.
Amazing.
Ah, shit, I've been to lots of places now. And the thing is, 18 months traveling, my average budget was £5 a day. That's all it cost me, right? I know this was like 20 years ago. It'd be a little bit more now, but not what people think.
No,
You know, in Bolivia, you can get a hotel room for 75p.
that's mental.
You can get a free course meal for 75p. You
Wild,
know,
isn't it?
you might have to sort of lower your standards a bit, or not lower your, change your paradigm a bit.
Yeah.
Um, but
It's
yeah, and
crackers, isn't it?
I did my first ever skydive on that, the first part of the AFF course, and I got my advanced scuba diving
Amazing.
certificate. So it wasn't like I missed out on anything. It was brilliant. Lived on like a desert island for a month, just scuba diving. It was amazing. So,
Amazing.
yes, to all our young people out there, listen up. Do it, have some fun, but you got to know when to move on, haven't you?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah. So, uh, that's that. What would you say to people that want to get into film?
Don't go to uni. Go on YouTube. It's all there, readily available. Every bit of information that you need is on YouTube. You don't have to do a course. You don't have to learn from anyone. You are literally everything is there on YouTube. Absolutely everything. And if you really want to do it with YouTube, you will learn really, really fast.
Yes, that's good. Good advice. On the subject of advice, what's the best bit of advice you'd say you've ever been given?
What you don't change, you choose.
What you don't change,
You choose.
you'll choose. Yes.
Yeah. If I know loads of people who will constantly moan about the same things all the time, but they haven't done anything to change it. So they're choosing it. If
Yes.
you're in a job that really makes you unhappy, have you applied for anywhere else? Yeah, no. If you haven't, you're choosing to stay there. No matter how much you're moaning and how much you hate it, if you're not doing anything to get out of it, you're changing it. If you're addicted to fucking substances or drink and you're not actively trying to get help to stop it, you're choosing it. And it's like that with everything. Everything. If something's making you unhappy or something's bothering you and you're not doing anything to try and get out of it, you're choosing that life, not anyone else. It's nobody else's fault. It's yours.
Yeah. Got you. Just going back to Afghanistan then. So you're issued your ammo.
Yeah.
I would imagine, well, I mean, it's not like being on the range, is it? Where they say empty your pockets afterwards and hand in all your live rounds that you've not spent.
Yeah.
Well, how does that work then? What if you decide to blat a few over there because you might or might not seen the Taliban popping his head up, and do you have to sort of go back to your troop sergeant and explain what that was about, or how does it work?
I mean, I never come across that, and nobody that we were with did. But I mean, it's all Geneva Convention, isn't it?
Yeah,
Is what you're governed by. So rightly or wrongly, in a lot of situations, Dickers and that in Afghan, you couldn't do anything to them, even though you knew exactly what they were doing, because they weren't holding a weapon and they were holding a radio instead. You couldn't engage with them, even though you knew exactly what they were doing, and they knew that you couldn't do anything.
yeah,
Uh, so yeah, you had to follow that.
What about after a firefight then? I'm guessing you go back, you have a debrief.
Yeah,
Do you?
depends where you are. I mean, yeah, you have your debrief and your reorg sort of thing, but a lot of the time, we did all our ops in Porpoising, so you're still on the ground. Do you know what I mean? And until you get back to wherever your fob is, you then debriefed. Is everyone all right? Yeah, sound, crack on, go for lunch, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Would you just go and draw more ammunition if you spent some?
Yeah. You just do a replan back at the
Yeah.
fob.
What about, did you have any bad casualties or fatalities?
Not with us. Not we did in our regiment, but not with our company. Not
Yeah.
with our company. Like,
Yeah, got you. Got you. Richie,
but
listen, brother, could chat for ages. It's been a great chat. Thanks for going all around the houses with me.
hey, absolutely, really
Yeah,
appreciate your time.
no, not a problem. I'm obviously going to put all your socials, YouTube. Let's just have a chat about that because you put quite a lot into your podcast, haven't you? It looks quite a class production.
Yeah, and like it was just another avenue. Like we've got all the gear, we've got all the stuff. I know a load of interesting people, so why not start a podcast? But
This
then,
next podcast is brought
you
to
meet
you.
all these interesting people as well, and I enjoy doing them. I enjoy doing them.
Yeah, absolutely. How many have you done now?
I don't know. I've not actually done that many. Because I'm so busy with work and stuff. It's sort of as and when I can do them. I've got a few lined up for when I get back off holiday, but yeah, nothing. I don't push it as such as much as I probably should. Um, but no, I do. I really really enjoy them, and I want to do more. It's just finding the time with everything else that's going on.
Yeah, you had Original Human on.
Yeah, yeah, Luke.
Yeah, Luke and I, we sort of started on YouTube around about the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah.
Luke actually moved into our old office.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he's in Crewe, so we were neighbours. That's how we met.
Was that for his mushroom drink business?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Sorry, Luke, if you ever get to watch this, I can't remember the name of your drink, but
Morale, morale.
yeah, morale. Well done, mate. Well done.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, friends watching, Luke was a former Marine. Like myself, he used to sort of do a lot of military stuff in the day, and then he went off and did more gaming. And I remember we were all like even Stevens, me, him, a couple of other former Marines. We were all sort of even Stevens on subs on YouTube. And then I woke up one day and Luke had gone up 10,000 overnight. 10,000
crazy.
based on one Call of Duty reaction video he did. And
Yeah,
then by the end of the week, he was up to 100,000, like 100,000 subscribers.
I can't
Going,
get past fucking 3,000.
well, it's interesting because I used to, I've never been like army barmy. I've always said to people, you join the military, please don't think you're doing it for freedom and democracy. That's like literally, that's not helpful, you know. But on the other hand, if you come from a background like mine, I wouldn't stop you. You know, I get it.
Yeah,
But I think when the whole scam, I don't call it the C word or the other, you know, when they played that medical scam on us,
yeah,
and I saw like how gutless the military were, not protecting its people, and just
yeah.
going along with that and sticking stuff into their personnel that was just fucking criminal and evil. Then I was like, you can't pretend there's anything. You know, I just didn't. I just, you know, I'll always be proud of being a Marine, and I'll always support the lads, and I'll always certainly, as you can see, support our veterans, Richie. But like, it just showed you the true side of the military. Is you're an order follower. That's
Yeah.
it. You're just
Yeah.
an order follower.
Dog's
And
pod.
if you can, that's what Nuremberg was all about. And that's probably not a good example. Some people understand what I'm saying, but what I'm trying to say is I came away from that. Then I started to try and do more enlightening content
Yeah.
and have chats with people like yourself that you can get in the kind of weeds. Luke went away traveling for a while and then came back and managed to get like 500,000 subscribers. But
Yeah. Crackers, mate. Well, fair
yes,
play. Fair
yes.
play.
All right, brother. Great chat. Richie, just stay on the line so I can hit record and then thank you properly, obviously. But all your links
Absolutely.
below. Friends at home, please do the like and subscribe thing. That'll be awesome. Massive thank you to everyone that supports us on Locals, Patreon, or has become just a YouTube, not just, but simply becomes a YouTube member. $1.99 a month, folks, with perks. And the last thing is massive thank you to everyone that supported me to shine a light for struggling veterans by climbing Mount Everest in April, and also highlight this link between childhood trauma and PTSD, and certainly the suicide thing that nobody's talking about. That's it. I'm out of here. Much love.